There was a hold that Tiger that came out of LSU. Rivs was getting a little explanation from Billy Embody. I think that they're just getting excited for the day. Is that right, Bill? Good morning to you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, guys. Yeah, I think that's more of like this is hold that Tiger day.
Okay. It's a little confusing. It's a little confusing.
Unless it comes from the big man, maybe they're forecasting a couple. Maybe they're forecasting a couple.
So on our document, we've got a couple of national guys to watch out for.
Yeah.
Marcus Dumervil, Phillip Webb, Jordan Burch. Let's start with Dumervil. He's announcing at 11 o'clock Central this morning. Tigers are in need of offensive linemen. This is the biggest one on the board. How are we feeling?
Feel pretty good about Marcus Dumervil. He's one of the nation's top uncommitted offensive tackles. He's going to kick things off. I think it would be a surprise right now if it wasn't LSU. And this is probably as good of a recruiting job as I think you could kind of see in this class among like the likes of our Eric Gilbert and some of the others. But that's because he visited all the way back in April. And a lot of people thought, okay, well, he visits then, no commitment. And somehow LSU's just been able to stay in there, and they've got all the confidence in this one and all the momentum going into today. So if he does indeed announce for LSU, it's just a great credit to the staff and what they've been able to do because he's taken some other official visits. He has some ties to Louisville. His uncle was Elvis Dumervil, who's one of the best players, obviously, to come out of Louisville, and Florida's been on him hard. So I'm watching LSU, though, for Marcus Dumervil.
His teammate, Marlon Martinez, we hadn't talked a lot about him. He's another offensive lineman in this class. How is he projecting?
Yeah, I actually went and watched Marlon this fall when I was down in South Florida, watched both of them, and he moves really well. He's got really impressive shuttle time. So he's kind of one of those prospects that you watch to kind of develop later on in college, and because of that athleticism, do really well. He fits that mold of what we're seeing with offensive linemen that move laterally really well and have the frame that Marlon has. He can get with Tommy Moffitt and kind of, I think, clean it up a little bit. And he's not overweight or anything like that. He's kind of got a young-looking frame. And so I think he's one to watch kind of later on. But he's got all the athleticism to put it all together.
Yeah, and then let's get to the other two names that are going to be announcing today. You got Phillip Webb at noon and Jordan Burch at 2:30. Give the people the background on who those guys are and where the recruiting stands.
Phillip Webb is somebody out of Beaufort, Georgia, that officially visited over the summer, and a lot of people thought LSU was going to get him after that visit. And then he just kind of put things off. Alabama and Auburn were in there and circling and trying to get him to hold off, and they did. He took an official visit to Alabama earlier this month. But really, that's, again, one of those guys that LSU has had the momentum as of late. There was kind of a thought during the season early on that they might have lost it, but then they got him on campus for an unofficial visit, and since then it's kind of been all LSU. So I expect good things for LSU with Phillip Webb, one of the nation's best pass rushers, which is a need in this class. And then with Burch, this is buckle up for this one. Nobody really knows what he's going to do. Everyone kind of is, I would say, guessing at this one for the most part. But look, LSU had him for an official visit in late October, and then Georgia brought him in this past weekend for the last official visit. But Ed Orgeron was in home Friday morning before that visit. He's a 5-star defensive end. He's the top 5 overall prospect. I think there's some confidence coming out of LSU's side of things. I think he heads out of state. I think South Carolina's made a good push to try and keep him. Clemson's kind of lost all the momentum I think they had. He hasn't visited there since the summer. But again, they have not done any interviews. His mom and him keep everything really close to the vest. He could go up there and announce for Alabama, and it wouldn't really shock any of us. Those are kind of his 5 finalist schools that I mentioned. So I like where LSU stands. I put him in my prediction piece. I just feel like this is one where you want to play for the number 1 team in the country. That's something some people think that's important to them. That's why I picked LSU.
We're talking to Billy Embody of Geaux-247, and Billy, when I look at this class, I have named the skill group the Fab Four. I'm leaving Coy Moore out of there, which is probably unfair, but I'm looking at Kayshon Boutte, Jermaine Burton, Rakeem Jarrett, and Eric Gilbert. We are talking about some of the top receivers in the entire nation there. What's the latest, though, on Burton and Jarrett, as those two commitments seem a bit more up in the air now?
Yeah, from Jermaine Burton will be an interesting one today. He's going to sign later on. at a ceremony with his teammates. But from everything he and his mom are telling LSU, from what we're hearing, it sounds like he's going to stick. Now he's made 2 visits to Georgia over the last month when he was home for Thanksgiving, and then kind of around Christmas break, taking an official visit this past weekend. So Georgia has some confidence, but as the visit has kind of worn off, we start to see it fade. But until that letter of intent is in, I mean, that one is probably a little dicey. But there is some confidence on LSU side that they are in contact. They've been talking with Mom and Jermaine all the time, and they're telling them that they're coming. So that's kind of what obviously LSU hopes happens, because I think he's the best wide receiver in the country. I mean, I think he's that good, maybe outside of Julian Fleming, who's going to Ohio State. But Burton, yeah, we're watching that one. And then Jarrett, we're going to track him into the late signing period. He's not going to sign early. He said his school doesn't allow them to. He's taken an official visit to Alabama. Maryland is one to watch as well. But yeah, he's going to. I think Maryland might be the one that is kind of picking up some momentum. But he'll be an interesting one. He's again a kind of a quiet young man, but he's a really, really good player, and we'll be tracking that one into February.
Billy, explain the school situation, because, I mean, you've been covering recruiting for how long? I mean, I've never heard of a school that steps in and doesn't allow a kid to sign.
Yeah, that's interesting, because there are some of his teammates that are signing, but that's what recruiting
Okay, yeah.
All right, that sounds like a Nick Saban rule.
Me and Brody were talking about that yesterday. Like, are you buying that? I didn't realize he has teammates signing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are we doing here?
The story's blown, bro.
What are we doing here? Come on.
I know.
Okay, so LSU signing. How many do you expect today?
I think we've got it at 21.
Okay.
I think if they get everyone 22, that's just kind of me going off the top of my head. They're Damon Clowney and Malcolm Green and Lorando Johnson aren't going to be in the class, so that's 3. That drops you down to 20. Cameron Jackson, and Rakeem Jarrett aren't signing early, so that's 18. So if they add Burch, Webb, and Dumervil, that gets you to 21. Math guy here.
You take that.
Yeah, 21. I think right now is probably the best bet.
Billy Embody joining us here, talking recruiting, National Signing Day, kind of setting the table for us as the Tigers expecting a couple of announcements coming up this morning. Those are the 3 national guys that they have. Is there anybody in this class that could flip, that is committed right now, that you're expecting that could come down to today that may be a surprise?
I think Green is the only one that's going to end up being a true flip, but he's not been in the class over the last week and a half, 2 weeks almost now. He's going to end up probably going to Clemson, but he wanted to wait to announce it until today. But it's an expected thing. So I mean, if you're following it and you see it.
Yeah, I think that's actually just gone official during the course of this interview. Clemson 17 minutes ago tweeting that Malcolm Green is officially in with the other Tigers and the other Death Valley.
Well, there it is. See? Called it.
Right? We're going to talk to Will Wade at 8 o'clock. Jordan Towles is a part of this class. Towles is a safety as well. And a lot of people think that Towles may be the better prospect over Green. Is he gonna sincerely play both sports when he gets to college? I mean, that's a tough 2-sport assignment, basketball and football.
That's what he said, but that might be a Will Wade question for you guys to ask.
Can he talk about that? Don't set me up now, Billy. If I ask him about Towles, can he talk about Towles?
If LSU tweets him out that he's signed,
if he gets a letter,
okay,
you get the letter before 8 a.m.
Come on,
yeah. So tell them to push it. Push it.
Hurry up.
So hurry up. But yeah, I think Towles is kind of like Grant Delpit, Jacoby Stevens. I think he's got that type of impact in him. I really do. He's 2-sport star, really athletic, makes plays on one of the best teams in the country. So I love Jordan Towles. I think he's one of the best players in this class.
I talked about this with Brody on the Hold That podcast yesterday, but I felt like with the emergence of Tyler Shelvin and Apu Ika this year, for the first time, you had a true 3-4 defense under Dave Aranda. I don't feel like you ever had a true 3-4 nose before this. And when I look at this recruiting class, Billy, I really like how it's kind of allocated here, right? In Guillory, you have that new legitimate nose recruit. In Jaquelin Roy, you've got a great 5 technique there. You mentioned the guys on the edge you're in play for. Josh White and Sampa as your middle linebackers. And then, of course, you got Ricks and Towles. Like, this seems like a perfectly spread out defensive class. What's your kind of expert breakdown?
Yeah, I think that you put it perfectly, honestly. And then McKinley Jackson, if you add him in late in the signing period or in the February signing period, that's he had a terrific week at the Mississippi-Alabama All-Star game, a terrific senior year, and he's somebody that's probably a little versatile. Can play some nose, can play some 5-tech, and then Burch is a total freak show. He can play all over the line. You got him. It's just they did this really, really well. Jacoby and Guillory is going to be terrific in the middle as a nose tackle, and he's going to sign as well today. So I mean, yeah, I'm with you. I thought they ran this show as perfectly as you could want to, and the thing about it is they weren't afraid to make tough decisions. They had a lot of guys committed early, and you know what? It's a business. It's really difficult sometimes to make those calls, but they're at a point where they can really keep this train going with this class, and that's what it's looking like they're doing.
Billy Embody, Christmas Day in his business as it's National Signing Day here for the early period. They'll be busy all day over at Geaux-247. You can hit him on Twitter. You can find the guys that'll be following recruiting for LSU. We'll check back in before we get out of here at 10 a.m. Thank you, man.
Of course, guys.